Hey everyone, welcome to another serving of Convention Tea. This time we're having an Anime Boston tea party. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
So, on our show, it's me, Scarlett, with my co host here, Jared the Greek.
Hey everyone, we're back from Boston, but our hearts are still there.
Yeah, we miss Boston already. Like, the post con blues is real. So, I've been going to Anime Boston since 2013. Jay's been going to Anime Boston since 2014. We only skipped 1 year, and that was 2017, and that's when they did the retro theme, which
It was a bummer.
in hindsight, like, oh dang, I could have gone for the retro theme. Yeah, we were at WonderCon instead of that con, but yeah, like just kind of like at the end, like, ugh, so sad we missed that one.
Too many of these cons are on the same weekends, and you have to just kind of make choices.
So we choose Boston.
Yeah.
Well, we try to choose Boston, but like WonderCon's like it's always cool doing panels with them. But Boston, this is our home base con. Like we might be here in Southern California, or as Cali, as you East Coast locals like to call it. But Boston is our home.
Yep.
All right. So if you don't know who we are Scarlet Rhapsody. Basically, again, my name is Scarlett. I've started this whole convention reporting operation when I was a college student right out of my dorm. So basically, I was attending conventions. I wanted to review conventions. I was blogging about them on my blog. I was writing about them, reviewing them, sharing my cosplay photos. And this is back in the day when I had those physical film cameras where you have to scan each image you took one by one. This is way before digital. And I've been doing this for like almost over 20 years. I still intend to do this because I love documenting anime cons because you can clearly see like the how anime conventions, fandom conventions have evolved throughout the past 20 years, and we have all that documented on Scarlet Rhapsody. And this is by fans, for fans, from a fan's view. And we have Jay with us. He's also been doing cons with me as well. He joined Scarlet Rhapsody about like in 2012-ish and joined us for soccer cons. Like, hey, I can make this better. Let's run a show. I
It
got
was
radio.
2009.
Oh yeah, that's right. The years they just go by.
It's
Everything has to
2009,
blur after
and I've
a
been
while.
doing anime cons since 2001 and doing other types of cons since the 90s.
And yeah, here we have. We'll get to the story of like when you were interviewed by Anime News Network here in this photo right here.
Yep.
But on the photo above is just us leaving Anime Boston. Like,
I did my
sad.
interview in character. I don't think it comes off that way in the video.
And here's also a very fancy photo of the two of us as Yor and Lloyd because we are awesome as Yor and Lloyd.
We really are.
All right, so Anime Boston 2023. We don't have the numbers yet, but dang, was that con crowded.
Oh, yeah.
Especially Saturday. So Anime Boston previously, historically, has been like almost close to 30,000 attendees at the Hines and the Sheridan Hotel. So Anime Boston, every year they have a theme. This year, their theme was idols. I was very hyped for this theme. However, I was also disappointed.
Yeah.
I was hoping for like, Love Live, musical guest of honor, Idolmaster alumni guest of honor. But I was like, sad face. I kind of wish we had more Japanese guests come in.
Any.
Yeah. And I was just very sad about that. Like, I'm okay with like, American voice actors because yeah, they're part of like the guest lineup. I was very excited that Dante Bosco was showing up because yeah, Dante and myself were like the two Filipinos in Boston that weekend.
And you guys would all know Dante Bosco from the Fist of the North Star live action movie.
Yeah, we gotta love our anime live action movies. And he was also in the fabulous Bosco Brothers. Yeah, Anime Boston theme this year was idols, and because they've been going through a lot of transitions because 2020 didn't happen, 2021 didn't happen, and I understand they had to like just cut back and scale back.
Yeah.
But it just was really sad just not seeing the Heinz Convention Center decorated and really celebrating it and really embracing theme because the way how like a lot of folks have described the Anime Boston vibe was like, yeah, it's almost like the convention center is also cosplaying with you too.
It is really one of the best parts is the theme, and it's what sets Anime Boston apart from other cons. Plenty of cons have themes. They don't theme up their con, though. Maybe they'll have one guest or something dedicated to that theme, but Anime Boston usually gets multiple guests. They usually have all the photo op zones throughout the convention and
There was
things
only
like
two
that.
photo op zones this year, which made me sad. Like, yeah, the Japanese teeth set was really cool, and the Force and Endor was pretty cool too. But I was expecting like more like photo sets that were like themed to like idols, like an idol stage, recording studio. All right, so
Like
let's.
even a classroom just for the school idols
That is correct because as school idols, we need our schools.
and your festivals.
We need a school to save.
Yeah.
All right. So before we go forward, let's talk about our sponsors today. Our first sponsor is Mararasol. They're they're the persons responsible for creating our avatars that you can see here on Convention T. So you have Jay here in his retro dad shirt. I'm wearing what I'll be wearing to Dapper Day tomorrow. My Princess Aurora Sleeping Beauty inspired gown, designed by my friend Ains and Isles Style House. Mirror they do take commissions. They're one of my favorite artists that I like to follow on Twitter. Please support artists. Please support like local artists. Their work is amazing. Give them a follow. And we're forever thankful for their service. Okay, Anime Boston. We also had some new cosplays. Like, guess what? Even though we're also press, we also enjoy cosplaying at Anime Boston. So, as almost like a last minute thing, you ended up going as Kong Ming from your boy Kong Ming.
I did. That was a fun one. I got some recognition, which was nice. The wig wasn't as irritating as I was worried it would be, and I didn't lose my hat, which I was also worried about.
Yeah, we bobby pinned that thing to your head so tight, and we made sure it has like a little bit of poof too. And what was your reason for bringing your boy Kong Ming? Why did you want to cosplay as this character?
Well, on the one hand, I just like him as a historical figure because there's a lot of great stories that come out of the Three Kingdoms period with this guy. Technically, it's post Three Kingdoms, oh, whatever. And then secondly, when I heard about the idea of the show, I was like, all right, I got to check this out because this sounds insane. And then after about 3 or 4 episodes, I'm like, I really like this show, and I love how just deadpan he is. He's just so calm and chill, and everything is going crazy around him. He's like, don't worry, I have a plan. And I don't know, I just kind of dug the show, and I like the character. And it's a fun, different take on your musical themed anime series.
Yeah, so like when Anime Boston announces a theme, we like to go within the theme because like yeah, we can take photos. There might be some sort of guess that relates to like what we're wearing. So I ended up making a brand new Yohane cosplay. So I'm a huge Love Live fan. Like I became a Love Live fan in Boston. Nico was the first Love Live cosplay I've ever done. Like I think there was 1 year of Anime Boston where I brought in 3 Nico cosplays.
Yep.
And then I used to host the Love Live Gathering cosplay photo shoot, but I'm like, okay, after that, it kind of gave me anxiety. So, like, okay, I'm not the type of person who can handle hosting a cosplay meetup. That's not me. So, I ended up wearing Yohane, and this is a cosplay I made in 4 days. I'll keep the long story short of it. I was originally supposed to bring Detective Yohane, but every time I was working on that cosplay, I kept noticing, oh, we need something more to it. We need something more to it. We still have to add on because if you play All Stars, a lot of the costumes have a very detailed elements to it. I mean, it's not just like, okay, here's a basic outfit, here's something basic, but there's just a lot of details within it. So I ended up just going for something a little bit more simple. Simple. So I got what I had in storage, got whatever scrap fabric I had, and literally the Friday right before Anime Boston, the 7 days before day one, I was looking up photos online, like, hey, what Yohane cosplay can I pull off right before Anime Boston? And it's one of the Blu-ray covers, and they actually did make a figure of this version of Yohane. So, had the wig already. There's maybe a couple things I just needed to overnight from Amazon, thank you Prime, to finish his costume for Masquerade. Also, what I liked about Anime Boston, and I also mentioned this in the written report, is one of the few things where they had kept in line with the theming was the Avatar game. So this is basically was announced at opening ceremonies. Like, yeah, you can create your own idol avatar, and you can unlock more avatar items the more events you went to. So there was like, I think it was like a total like almost like over 200 stars you can collect, and basically you just go to panel rooms, event rooms, and you would just scan the QR code towards the end of that panel or presentation. Or if you went into like the karaoke room or the formal ball, you would just scan the QR code, and you would just get a star. And the more stars you unlock, the more items you unlock. So like some of the high tier items were like wings, and I just wanted to make a simple like cat girl idol. So here's my cat girl idol. And the nice thing was, like, anytime you saw the QR code pop up, you would see everyone's like avatars just show up on screen too, like, hey, there's my avatar. And then I remember, like, one of my buddies over at Cosplay Lipstick Battles, like, yeah, I just wanted to make a cat maid, a cat girl maid who's wielding a giant sword. All right, let's talk about popular fandoms at Anime Boston. So, popular fandoms, of course, Genshin, I feel, is gonna. It's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's still very popular.
I mean, I cosplayed as Ningguang, so I even showed up on the day one Genshin gathering. So Genshin is not going to go away anytime soon. And like as I have a conversation with some of the Genshin cosplayers, yeah, the costumes are very accessible. They're very pretty to wear. So yeah, it's this thing going away. And then, Jay, you also observed that there were a lot of JoJo cosplayers.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of surprising that JoJo still has a big fandom out in the East Coast.
And of course, like us included, we also seen like a ton of Spy Family cosplays.
Yeah,
So seen a couple of
part of that
Lloyds.
group.
Yes, we're part of that group. A couple of Lloyds, a lot of yours, which I do appreciate because yours is my favorite. Both in her black outfit, her Thorn Princess outfit, and her everyday mom sweater.
Also saw a few Anyas and stuff too.
And I think I also saw Frankie running around. I always like seeing like the secondary characters because those also spark joy. It's like, oh yay, people remember these characters. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Yoren Lloyd, I love Anya, but it's like it's also cool kind of seeing like the wacky secondary characters.
Well, the other thing is that it works for photos because then you can always meet if you're soloing as an Anya or as a Frankie or as a what's her name, Daylight or whatever. Yeah, it's not
Daybreak.
Daybreak. Then you can have some fun photo options with the other, the main two characters. So, although technically I would argue Anya is probably the actual main character of the show, but whatever. The parents can work with any of these side characters and you have some fun, silly photos with them.
But wait, what were some other cosplays and some other like popular wear at Anime Boston? Saw a ton of Lolitas. So here's my buddy Anna Neko.
Oh my god, yes.
Yes. Boston has a very thriving Lolita community. I could have worn Lolita at the convention. My roommates were wearing Lolita at the convention. But like, like I don't have enough room in my suitcase. I want to focus on cosplay. But here's my buddy Anna wearing the cat boba chi dress that I also own. I own this in mint. And then we also had like a couple of Love Live cosplayers. And I was very happy to see like a lot of like first gen Muse cosplayers. Like, yes.
I thought they were going to be the most popular because they were the first.
Yeah, and it made me happy seeing like a lot of Muse cosplayers. I ran into Nozomi first thing when I was at the convention. And I was like, yay, seeing Muse cosplayers makes me happy. And then, of course, I saw a lot of people cosplaying as Kotaro from Zombieland Saga.
Myself included.
And like, yeah, that's your photo right there as Kotaro. And one of my other buddies from Lip Sync Battle also went as Kotaro, and they also had a cardboard van that they brought with them.
Oh, nice. His junker van. I also want to give just shout outs to, there's always some cool Fate cosplays in there, including that super nice, I think it was a Bradamante that wanted me to join the gathering, and I was like, yeah, I'll totally do that. And then by the time I get back to the hotel room, I'm too tired to put on Gil. I'm not going to change. And I also want to give shout-outs to the Metal Gear cosplay people because they're always super cool. I'm sorry I couldn't go to either of the gatherings. I didn't bring anything Metal Gear with me.
But next year. Like, Otacon is, like, just simple, like, clothes.
Yeah.
All right, before we go on to talk about our experience at Anime Boston, we like to give a shout out to California Cosplay Gala. What is California Cosplay Gala? Well, we run balls. We run balls across California. We are part of Anime Los Angeles staff running their cosplay masquerade ball, and we also do various like events, one day events where like you can dress up fancy and dance the night away. So if you're curious to learn more about cosplay ballroom dancing, check out us on Instagram at Cosplay Gala, and definitely check us out. All right, day one. So day one, there was a lot of early morning panels that I was curious about, but I'm like 9 a.m. really? But luckily, the one panel I wanted to check out, it's actually available on YouTube, and the panel title is called like early websites of the 90s and like early 2000s that kind of covered Annie Web Turnpike, Gaia Online, and so
Oh
forth.
my god.
So I'm gonna watch
Remember
that
that
panel.
garbage?
I'm gonna watch that panel like later tonight to see what I missed because I like hearing a lot of these archival like historical panels that explore like the nether regions of fandom.
Here's where you know about the age and generation gap. If you know what GeoCities is, we can hang. If
And
not, then I guess you can hang out with my nephews.
Jay, there was like a panel that you wanted to go to early morning day one, but
Oh, I wasn't doing anything early morning. My brain was. I'm not a morning person to begin with. You add in a long plane flight, and I'm just done.
I just want to just kind of like just share some photos here of day one. Day one, I actually went to opening ceremonies. Just wanted to like just kind of like just peek in and check it out. And like they had like their introductions of all the guests, and that's when they also talked about the Idol Avatar game. And like also here, you also have like a image here of there's a section of the convention where you have like other conventions promoting their con. So this is a piece from Pop Cult Anime Con or Pop Cult Con, I think. Day one was also fairly light too. So this is like morning of day one before like all the craziness that happened on Saturday. This is like around the third floor going to the second floor. I think this is like around the time I was just looking for opening ceremonies and just like, I'll just sit in on opening ceremonies and check it out. Yeah, there's our main stage right there. And also, one of the main highlights of opening ceremonies was watching Idolized New England perform live because what is an idol themed con without like local dance groups showing off? So they did this whole thing to Vocaloid, and it's really cool like just seeing different factions of their idol group perform live on stage. All right, so here we have the console gaming section. So the console gaming section, they actually moved it down to this. I believe this is on the first floor. So in the past, console gaming used to be like on the third floor, but now it's gonna on the first floor. So it's a little, this area is a lot more open-ish.
Yeah, they kind of changed things up, but I think
Yeah.
it works for the better because then the arcade area is just the arcade area.
And then I went to the Genshin meetup.
Yay.
So this is the Genshin meetup, and it was a pretty huge room. This actually used to be like one of the larger panel rooms. And honestly, I would prefer like the Genshin meetup to be at like one of the hotel ballrooms, like at the Hilton, as it was previously, because I kind of felt like this room could have been used as a panel room.
Well, also the point that like the behind center is getting really small for the amount of people we have. Even, I mean, day one wasn't that bad, but in terms of some of the gatherings, they get pretty big. I think we need a dedicated like larger gathering room. I know they technically had the one upstairs in in the hotel on a fifth floor. They had like what, one or two rooms there.
Yeah,
I
they had
think.
2 rooms, so those are like for smaller like
Yeah, they're not quite
meetups. They're
the
not like
size we need
Genshin.
for a Genshin or something like that.
You need like a large hotel ballroom for this type of thing. And the nice thing, this is like the most calmest, most well behaved Genshin gathering because like you can see here in this photo, like everyone's just kind of situated at tables, just kind of like just hanging out.
Which is nice.
And then you had like there was a Mona cosplayer who was hosting the meetup, and then they were like, okay, next up is Mondstadt. Did you know Mondstadt is the first region you encounter in Genshin? Like you could tell they were out of it, and they were just like just throwing the most random obvious facts, but I thought it was hilarious. Like next up is Sumeru. Here's a fun fact about Sumeru. Sumeru has trees.
Well, those aren't like fun facts. That's something you notice by walking around the area.
I just thought it was just hilarious because it's just amusing. Because I think everyone like
like saying,
still
like-
was kind of tired, and everyone was still kind of like just waking up like, oh hey, we're at Anime Boston.
Welcome to Boston. Boston has a train system. You know, it's just like, yeah, we know. We want real facts. Oh,
No, I think
Boston is
Demona was
old.
out of it, so, but they did a
It's
good
really
job
old.
organizing and getting people on deck for photos. So it was just like basic, like, okay, here's this faction, here's this vision element type thing. If you're like in a maid outfit version, like come on up. So you can kind of see here with the space that we were working with, and the photographers, we were backed up like quite a bit to like just get everyone in shot. So it was just kind of like just doing my best, like, okay, get everyone in photo. And then like I think like some of the last couple shots were like, hey, if you're part of this event, come on up. I'm like, and there was just all of us like, okay, we need a refresher. Like, we're our characters part of this special event.
Oh god, that'd be one of those moments of a fate gathering where all of us go like, oh wait a second, oh god, who are the characters introduced in that?
Then you're like, wait, technically, dot dot dot.
Yeah.
It's like when me and Lee had to go up to you, like, Jay, can you give us a refresher, like, if we're part of this? It's not that we're fake fans. It's like we need a refresher.
At a certain point, you're like, wait, what? Because I think they were doing that where they're doing like the chapters from Grand Order, and I was like, oh god, who the heck was in chapter 5? Oh, like all the other people like looking at each other. I think eventually the host just starts yelling out character names. I'm like, yeah, it's the easier way to do that one.
All right, and then here we have on day 1 when you busted at Kongming, and Anime News Network just all of a sudden decided to interview you right by the Kongming poster.
Yep.
And that was, yeah, how did it feel like to be interviewed by Anime News Network?
I didn't know it was Anime News Network.
Yeah, we thought it was High Dive because they
I
just
thought they
kind
were
of
doing
made
like a little promotion thing, like, oh, sure, I'll pretend to be. I did everything in character, and I don't think anyone else did, so I just come off weird, which I think is fine because I'm Kong Ming. It almost feels like it's like what you would expect instead of just talking like normal and stuff. I'm talking about like, oh no, I most certainly couldn't, and I'm like talking like that. I'm like, I'm in character, no one else is. That's kind of on brand for me to do the one thing, and everyone else is like, oh, I didn't think we were supposed to do that. I'm like, that's what the person kept calling me Kong Ming, so I just like, oh, I'll just do all this in character. I didn't know. I have an acting background. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, you can find the interview clips on Anime News Network over on Twitter at Anime. Also, I decided to check out the ballroom dance from orders of Craig Yamaguchi.
I know him. He's famous.
Yeah, he's very cost famous. You should check out his OnlyFans.
Yep.
Anyway, day 1, formal dance. So I decided to check out the formal dance. At this point in the day, I was cosplaying as Setsuna. So like, okay, wearing a frilly frill dress, like it counts as formal. So they use like this really large room that's like on the 3rd floor of the Heights. I don't think I've ever been in this room. It was large enough to host a very large formal dance, but I would say like the area was pretty chill. Not a lot of people were at the formal dance. People were just kind of like just going in and out. And for the formal dance, it was like it was a separate ticketed event where you had to pay X amount, and it's not a drastic amount, but sometimes people usually do this to like, okay, people who pay like just even a minuscule amount will tend to take the theme seriously, will tend to take the formal idea of it being a formal event seriously. And I actually like seeing like formal variants of cosplays here. Like I ran into my friends who are like formal characters from Fire Emblem. I'm not too familiar with that franchise. Like, oh hey, I like your dress. I like your dress. Like, yeah, this is nice because it gives us more time to focus on our masquerade cosplays. So they found like all these formal dresses that kind of fit in with their Fire Emblem characters.
I guess if you match the color and the feel of the character, you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I just like looking at formal interpretations of like different characters, and here I am just cosplaying as Setsuna Yuki from Love Live, just kind of like, hey, I'm just here to take photos and just kind of like just hang out. And I actually did dance with this one gent named James, and he was actually telling me like, yeah, there was like they actually had lessons for about an hour that taught rumba, swing, and waltz, and just like the basics, and we're just kind of like just chit-chatting about like just the setup of the dance. And those are the main 3 types of dances they had. So if there was a rumba on, they would like have like a sign like this is rumba, waltz, and swing, and so forth. However, the music choices were interesting. Like the Digimon, the opening song.
The American Digimon opening song.
Digimon digital.
You can't dance to that.
Can't.
You can vaguely dance to Butterfly, but you can't dance to that.
Yeah, let's see. let me just see here. Also, they had the Moon Pride song from Sailor Moon, Crystal. So there were
Oh,
some
they should have
interesting
done Moon
song
Vengeance.
choices. I like Moon Revenge.
Or Moon Revenge, yeah.
Yeah, they had some pretty interesting choices here. So I'm like, okay. But I remember like even like one person was talking like, yeah, I wish there were more waltzes here. And this photo just kind of gives you a gauge of just kind of the vibe of the dance. Like people were like, just hanging out, just sitting down. Like it like had nice romantic lighting. But when you think nice romantic lighting and you combine it with the Digimon opening or like the theme to Ghost Hunter, is that what it's called here? Ghost Hunter?
Oh, you're talking about Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah.
How do you dance to... Whatever.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, no, it's a good song. It's a catchy song, but it's one of those like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just kind of like just a lot of what I think that this event has like a lot of potential, but we know folks that can help y'all run a really amazing ballroom dance.
Yes.
Yeah, just message us and we will let you know, Anime Boston. We can hook you up. All right, let's talk about the Gunpla Room. Even though we stepped in there very, very briefly. This is the Gunpla Room over at the Sheraton.
Run by the Gunpla pros, who also had a shop. So they had people who knew what they were doing. We talked with them a bit. And the room looked like it was kind of happening. Had a lot of people, although we got there kind of as people were kind of wrapping their stuff up. I specifically didn't bring my tools, though they did have tools you could use. So I did actually get some kits on day 2, and I could have gone up there. But I don't know. I wasn't. I got to be in the right mood to build a kit. I guess if that makes any sense. Anyone can kind of understand that. Like sometimes you're in the creative mood and sometimes you're not. So, which is unfortunate. I probably would have been working on my Jim Quell because that'd have been a simple kit to build. But I'm also super paranoid that on the air flight, like bad stuff will happen to my models. They even had a model contest, which I could have probably entered and done pretty well. And I have a couple kits I've done some personal painting on and stuff to make them look a little nicer. But I would have been so terrified of bringing them over to on a cross-country flight. I guess if I wrapped it in like bubble wrap and put it in my backpack, it probably would have been fine. But I don't know. I just get really hyper paranoid. If it was one of those like I was driving up from Connecticut or down from New Hampshire or something like that, I probably would have done it because why not? But a 6-hour flight makes you really paranoid. And I can't put it in my regular luggage because I'm afraid it's just going to get mashed around.
And by the way, the Gundam pros are like the chillest people in the fandom ever.
They really are. I'm so glad there's people who are that elite and just super chill for answering questions and just whatever. It's nice.
And also later that night, you went to a kaiju panel. How did that go?
It's one of the highlights of all the panels I did. I enjoyed this one. The guy was basically going through the different eras.
By the way, full room, like at what, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
Yeah, 9, 10 o'clock.
Full room.
People love Godzilla. I myself am a relatively, I guess I call myself a mid-tier Godzilla fan, I guess.
You're still a fan nonetheless.
I'm a fan nonetheless. I have not seen every single movie, but I've seen quite a few. I've seen a few. Especially when they used to do those marathons on, I want to say Thanksgiving or something like that. Before I knew about the MST3K Turkey Day marathons they were doing for a while on Comedy Central and what have you, and Sci-Fi Channel. It was one of the TNT or something like that would do like Godzilla marathons. And I just watch all these crazy things, while just having nothing else to really do because, the parents are cooking and kids need to do something. So, messing around, playing board games and having Godzilla in the background. And then a few that I watched that just were randomly on TV, like Godzilla vs. Destroya and stuff like that. I generally have a love of this, and it's kind of cool hearing some of the behind-the-scenes stuff where someone, this is where they switched the suit actor because this guy da-da-da-da-da, and this suit actor ended up getting, like, these kind of injuries on set because he just would do anything they said, no matter how crazy it was, no matter how little he could see or properly move, he would just go for it. And I'm like, what? Oh, man, that's dedication. Especially if you go to a hospital for kaiju rubber suit injuries. And it talked about the various eras, talked about where you can find stuff. It sounds like one of the eras is completely on HBO Max. I'm like, oh man, that'd be great background stuff to have.
Yes, I actually did watch the Mothra movie on HBO Max, and Mothra is my favorite of all the kaijus. Mothra is a strong female character. Ain't nothing to F with.
It's true.
She ain't nothing to F with.
Probably
Watch
gone.
out for her kids.
Is it the Mothra one where it begins as the giant caterpillar thing?
Yes.
Ah.
I have a
Joy
special
feelings.
place in my heart for Mothra because that was like the first like kaiju movie I've seen, and that's when like Disney Channel used to play kaiju movies.
Yeah, that was a weird time.
It was the best time.
really is.
Way before Johnny Tsunami, way before Teen Beach Movie, we had kaiju movies on the Disney Channel. And I loved it.
I mean, they're mostly safe for families. I mean, there's not like a, you don't have a close up of Godzilla like swatting a person into nothingness or what have you. There's a few moments, and depending on the movie, especially the later ones, where you have the characters like staring Godzilla down and then he just blasts him with a flame breath. Or atomic breath, rather. It's not actually fire. But it was cool hearing him talk about that, talk about like the animated versions and, the mixed results that is. And it's rare for me to see this when a panel, especially talking about Godzilla, will talk positive about Godzilla the series from 1998, 1999, which is a super underrated cartoon. It's probably only, I think I'm fairly certain it's only one season. It might be 2 seasons long, but it's not a particularly long series. It does essentially follow up from the 98 movie, but they do Godzilla right, where basically you have Godzilla defending humanity, and then Kaiju of the Week, plus, the military has like, well, I don't like Godzilla, and we gotta blow him up anyways. But he saved us. No, I think he needs to be blown up. And so you have those kind of conflicts, and it's a really good show, way better than it's any right to be, especially because it's connected to the frickin' 98 movie. But it's nice to see that, and also hear people in the audience cheer as well. So other people actually liked it as well, or had positive memories of it. And I have no idea if it's streaming anywhere, but if you're ever curious, I'd really recommend that. Plus, it's digestible. It's like 22-minute episodes or whatever, so it's not like you're sitting down for a full 2-hour movie or anything. You watch 2 episodes and move on with life.
All right, I believe that concludes it for day 1.
Yeah.
Meow, meow, meow. Meow. All right, time to talk about the Magic Candle Company.
Magic Comp.
You got this.
Immediately roll a 1. The Magic Candle Company produces candles with scents from your favorite theme park rides and attractions. So if you're a huge fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, you can get pirate water. If you like that spooky mansion place, they have a spooky mansion smell.
And if you're like me, who loves staying at the Port Orleans Resort, you can get that nice, fresh scent of gardenias as you walk right into the Port Orleans Resort. It's one of my favorite scents.
And they also have universal scents. So if you're someone like me who has very fond memories of the E.T. ride, then you can get extraterrestrial forest, and smell that wonderful smell of those trees as you go through before you get on your little bike thing.
Or if you want to torture yourself, get the Gibson Girl ice cream scent so your room can smell like ice cream.
Or the popcorn scent.
All right, day 2. So let's talk about lip sync battle. So earlier I was talking about the avatars. So this is like the screen that was like showing where you could scan your phone with the QR code and you can see your various avatars on the screen right here. So I think at this time, like, you could barely see my avatar here, but you can see that everyone who was in the room, you could see like their idol persona on screen, which I thought was cute because I like to think like how everyone did theirs differently. And I didn't know you can like adjust color. All right, so Cosplay Lip Sync Battle is one of my favorite events, and one of the things that really makes Anime Boston unique is their cosplay games division. What I like about cosplay games is everyone is just really there to support one another, and everyone's there to just really just root each other on. So for day 2, that lip sync battle, just some of the highlights of entries here. We have Lady D from Resident Evil 8. We have Dan Hibiki from Street Fighter, and we also have Panty and Stocking from Panty and Stocking. And I just love seeing like everyone's song choices because this is the con where I'm introduced to like new types of music, or I just see like a piece of music in a different light. Like this Dan Hibiki gentleman here, when he went on stage with this first song, he did like this, sound like this 80s rock power ballad. And I'm like, I need to look this up because like I feel like I know like my 80s hair metal people. But I'm like, okay, this sounds very esoteric. And then at the end of the con, where we all get a Spotify playlist of like all the songs that were chosen. Wait, the songs are on SpongeBob? Because he was doing all these cool like karate moves on stage, and like the host was like, "Well, that was Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai."
Oh.
Also, just some of my favorite acts. Like here is this duo Cosme from Okami, and they were like doing this routine from.
I like socks. I like socks. I'm a dog.
Say it louder, Jay.
No
That
one
actually would have been a good
No
choice.
one would have even known that song, but there's a song that goes, "I'm a dog and I like socks. I like socks. I'm a dog. Socks, 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 socks. I'm a
Now
dog.
I can't
Socks,
remember
socks,
what
socks."
song they did in the beginning, but it was like the songs like "We're Gods" and "We're Awesome" from El Dorado. And I know one of their later songs, had they gone to the final round, it would have been You and Me and Mostly Me from Book of Mormon. Like, oh man, I wanted to see that. No, y'all gotta record that on TikTok because I'd love to see that. And Lady D was our like main winner, and they did an amazing job on stage. And kudos to them for like wearing like these huge inch heels, and they were doing like all these drag queen moves, and like they were just they totally owned the stage. They were just totally fierce the whole time, and I hope you're recovering from Anime Boston, Lady D, because you did such an amazing job. And I was like, whoa, like they can do that in heels. Like, wow. I was just, it's just like you gotta see it to believe it. So yeah, lip sync battle is like one of my favorite events, and like it's like this round robin tournament style. Like I was in it as Nero. I didn't make it to the first round, because I lost to this. It was a really good Misa cosplayer, and she was doing this song called Black Sheep by Captain Marvel. Um, but that, I guess like the crowd was familiar with that song. I did like this esoteric song called "I'm Not Madonna" from by High Fashion. When they just came up randomly on my Spotify, I was like, you know what, I gotta do this for lip sync battle. But you know what, I'm glad I did that. I was happy to vogue on stage as Nero. I would have loved to have done Tony Goldmark, Lady Gaga. That would have been fun. But you know what, that's all right. That's what TikTok is for. All right. So day 2, looks like you've done some shopping at the Gundam Pros.
I did. I ended up. There was a lot of. There's one thing I saw when we first stopped by on day 1, and that was the Hazel 2, which, for anyone who doesn't know a lot about Gundam, that's from the Advance of Zeta series. Essentially, a prologue to the Zeta Gundam, where the Titans are just kind of figuring out how to make robots bigger and betterer, and the Hazel 2 is one of those units. There are so many versions that have been put on P Bandai that begin at $40 or more. They only did, I think, 3 mass market kits, and I almost never see them. It's the Hazel 2, and the Hazel Custom. Now, the cool part about these units is that if you get the weapon packs, you can turn them into some of those P Bandai units. And those weapon packs only cost like $5 to $10. But I wanted some Advance of Zeta units into my fleet, and being able to see the Hazel 2, and for the price it was going for, I was like, I need to have the Hazel 2. And then I was going to grab one more thing because I didn't want to go beyond that. Even when I had the 2, I was like, oh god, did I overfill my luggage too much? But I went for this. I was trying to find something small and thin, and they had one of the units I've been wanting for a long time, which is also an Advance of Zeta unit. Technically, it's also a 0083 unit, and that is the Jim Quell, which is an upgraded Jim that was designed for the Titans before the Jim 2 was designed. And I just always wanted it, so I saw it. So just all this Titans stuff for me. But they had so many good things. It was kind of killing me inside. And I just kept seeing things. And certain things were like too big. I'm like, there's no way I'm fitting that in my luggage to go back on the airplane. So, and it couldn't fit in my backpack. So it just,
Yeah, and unfortunately, JetBlue has this new rule now where you're only allowed one personal item on the plane, because normally in the past you're allowed like 2 personal items to bring on the plane. And I think if they kept that rule, like, yeah, you probably would have taken a couple more home.
Yes, and that would have gone under the seat of the thing, and then my backpack would have gone up into the luggage zone. It would have been fine.
Fine.
But the problem is, I couldn't do that. And God knows there was things in there I needed. Like, I needed GPO2 to fight my GPO1. And so I can just have them sword fight and yell, "You fight like an amateur!"
It's like me, like I can't just have one of the Royal 3. I had to have all the Royal 3.
Exactly. So my poor GPO-1 is just a lonely... Actually, technically right now it's just a core fighter. But it's lonely. I need him to fight something, or he needs a friend. And I don't have either right now. And they had his friends. The Jim Custom was there, and the gun Jim Cannon 2 were both there. I could have grabbed those and he would have had friends.
Make it sound like Barbie and friends. Like, yeah, they're gonna hang out like at the mermaid fountain pool.
Look, the only 0083... Oh, no, excuse me. I have two 0083 units. I have the Gelgoog Marine, which is the initial unit for Sima Garahau, and then I have the GPO-1, the initial unit for Ko. So Ko needs friends, or Sima needs friends. Or I
like Sima.
someone to have a direct fight, but Ko does not direct fight Sima. So, I mean, he does, but not in her Gelgoog Marine.
So we have here like what the crowds are starting to look like on Saturday.
I like how that was just basically French to anyone who doesn't know anything about Gundam.
So basically you have like the crowds here on Saturday, which nearly made you go into panic shock.
Well, one, I was rolling solo, which based on day one, I was like, I can handle this. And day two, I was doing fine until I wasn't, is the way I love to say that. But at least prior to the crowd insanity, I had some fun panels.
Oh, tell us about those panels.
Oh man, wish I took notes. Oh wait, I did. Alright, so in terms of the ones I think that are kind of worth talking about, is I really liked the anime's Lost first movie, which was this movie from 1945, and it's essentially... it is a... what's his name movie? Oh god. Momotaro. It's Peach Boy. It was a Momotaro movie where he and his animal friends are talking about how awesome the military is.
Oh,
and how
that
we should
propaganda movie.
Totally join the military. And there's a part where they sing like the Japanese ABC song, like it's all kid stuff, until like the animation gets like really high quality and they paratroop down and then are like attacking Popeye and stuff.
Fascism for kids!
And showing like, oh, those island people, they're our friends, and those horrible, horrible Americans are conquering them. We need to unconquer them so that our friends can be side by side with us. Because that's totally how the war happened from the Japanese point of view. They were just trying to bring back their friends, and America was just being a jerk. The movie basically was out for 4 months before the end of the war, and then, as most propaganda, was essentially incinerated. But they found a copy of it like in the 80s. They ended up playing it on TV as a curiosity, and there is a Blu-ray release of this freaking thing, which I think includes some of the other shorts as well, including the ones that have evil Mickey Mouse, which is hilarious. And yeah, the Japanese propaganda cartoons, these are a thing, and a lot of them had Momotaro because he's essentially, you know, a fairy tale hero. So all the kids are like, I know Momotaro. Yeah, Momotaro, I'll totally join the army. Take that, disgusting foreigners.
All right, what other panels did you check out?
And the other one that really stood out on that day that I would love to talk about is they had one that was about playing anime as a TTRPG. And literally went through a whole bunch of like indie game systems, and some that I'd heard of and some I had not heard of, to play different things. He was like, and he set it up like, okay, let's say you're into martial arts. Here's some stuff that you can do fantasy style martial arts. Oh, are you into, you know, samurai? Here's some stuff where you can do some samurai things. Are you into sci-fi? Here's some sci-fi things. Here's some giant robot games that I had heard of one of them. I've never played it because I'm the kind of person who likes his giant robot games to be significantly more complicated than what they are in the ones he offered, but the ones he offered would be fun if you wanted to do something like Big O. The ones I play are more like strategic warfare games. So, that. But there was some interesting ideas and thoughts in there, and a whole load of things he brought up. He brought up a pirate one that could easily be modified for One Piece. And it sounded like most of these were essentially just, you might need to alter like some character class stuff or whatever in order to have the moves match the characters, unless you want to just, you know, have your own originals. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I really, really liked that one. And, you know, obviously at the end, you know, people are coming up going like, yeah, there's this Big Eye Smallmouth. He's like, yes, except for that company like ceased to exist in the late 90s. So finding those books is a pain. And I'm like, finding those books is a pain. I'm lucky I have the ones I do. And, you know, and their system I'm kind of so-so on, but whatever. I talked with him a little bit about how like certain systems I'm not a huge fan of because they're just too overpowered. Fate system being a really large one in that, unless your whole point is just storytelling over character complexity. And he brought up a few things that were in that category that were the storytelling over the character complexity stuff. And I'll run one of those games. I just can't make a campaign out of it because I will get bored as the DM. Primarily because if it doesn't feel like I'm challenging the players, I feel like I'm not doing my job. But if we're gonna just do an OP characters kick some butt game, I mean, like I'm down with that. Of course, then again, I'm the person who's been pushing everyone to try to play Dread, so, yeah. But it was a really good panel. The guy was really good and he knew his stuff. He said he had actually bought most of the books in the panel, so he hadn't played all of them, but he at least bought and read all of them. There's like, I see, I wrote down the list. It's got to be close to 30 books on this list.
Also, while Jay's looking that up, Anime Boston also had a dedicated tabletop RPG room. That was like its own thing. And they were like always looking for players in the room. I believe they had Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. They had Call of Cthulhu. We didn't join in for a game this time around, but it was there, and I'm glad it was in its own separate room.
I only have 15 on here. I feel like there's more.
I was glad it was its own separate room because when you're gaming like that, you kind of need to be like just hyper-focused and free of distraction. So I'm glad that it was there for like anyone who wanted to like have like join a pickup game. And I do see in the chat Rams is be like, I would have loved to join. Yeah, Rams, get your butt to Boston. And by the way, there was also a karaoke room there too. And like while we were just kind of like just hanging out by the karaoke room on Sunday, someone was singing the opening to Saint Seiya. Immediately thought of you, dude.
Some of these oh yeah, that like threw us off completely.
Because we're so like Saint Seiya being like, if we're near like the Mexican border, yeah, it's gonna have a fandom.
God, there's some games on here I actually do really want to try. I guess if I'm going to mention a couple out of here that sounded fun to me, Kids on Bikes. Exactly what you think it is. Just sounded kind of cool. Masks, as a superhero one, sounded kind of interesting. Zweihander, I've been wanting to do that one here. It's a fairly brutal, kind of darker game, so it's, it's like one of his examples if you wanted to do like a Berserk type thing. And here's what I would love to do. I just need I need more than the 2 people I know who will instantly volunteer for this to join the game. Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Hey!
Actual game.
I would totally play Sword Lesbians because I am somewhat of a sword lesbian myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my Sapphic pin that I picked up at Artist Alley here.
So, yes, those are on the list of the games, and I'm like, I kind of want to try these. Because I think they'd be fun. I just need volunteers for Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
All right, let's talk Masquerade. So here in this photo is just a couple of my buddies entering in Masquerade. They decided to do all the fancy ladies of the Super Mario universe. So you got Rosalina, Peach, and Daisy here.
Yay.
And I was just hanging out with my buddies like backstage, and we were just talking about like, it'd be awesome if I lived there in Massachusetts and like we would have like sewing weekends. And we're just talking about like just having like my dream sewing room and stuff. But it was just the camaraderie of like backstage and us supporting all one another. And there was even a cosplayer from Zombieland Saga. They were cosplaying Sakura Minamoto, and they were gonna go up on stage and sing. And she probably had to been like a couple like may have been in their like early 20s or so. And they were clearly much younger than a lot of us. So they went on stage, they sang a song from Zombieland Saga, it sounded like. And I was just very impressed by them. I was very impressed by their confidence. And we were just like hyping them up the whole time. So a lot of times when you're like backstage, you make new friendships. Everyone is hyping each other up. And I do like the fact that there is also like a mini cosplay repair zone. Because like, hey guys, can you just kind of like just make my wings stay a little bit higher up? Because this is also my first venture in making wings for cosplay.
Which came out really nice.
Yeah, I was quite impressed because like, okay, amazing craft.
I mean,
it's true.
I should rephrase this. It's less about them looking nice when you made them and more about looking nice when you pulled them out of the luggage.
Yeah, I was impressed that like, oh my god, these survived the flights. So I just love like looking at everyone's like details backstage. For example, here, my buddy Jessica, center photo here, cosplaying as Cheryl from Macross Frontier, and we were just talking about like, oh my god, like are we like the only people who remember Macross Frontier here?
Probably.
And you have a Sakura cosplayer here, and they made their whole Sakura costume Caro, and even the Wandili all out of yarn. They even made the wig out of yarn. And so it was a complete like knitting project.
Whoa.
That's impressive.
Also, kind of want a knitted Caro. That'd be kind of fun.
And then also here, you also have two characters from Fate at the Trung Sisters, a Vietnamese legend. So here's the other thing about Anime Boston Masquerade. This is the first year they separate craftsmanship from performance. I went to Anime Boston Masquerade like, hey, I'll just enter in Masquerade. Yeah, I'll just fill out the application and whatnot. Like, usual rules, cool. And so they had a separate craftsmanship category. And if you went in as craftsmanship, basically you just go do like a walk-on to pre-selected music, do a cosplay runway type thing, and you would just get your costumes judged on early. Now, if you were doing a performance act, your costumes would not be judged. So you can actually go in with like a bought costume and just go on stage.
Yeah, I was just thinking this is just the excuse for people to go buy their Love Live costumes online and do a dance routine.
Yeah, but you know what? Because of I'm so used to just making my costumes for Masquerade, and I just did Yohane mainly as a challenge to see if I could do this in 4 days. And you know what? I did. Because I just like giving myself challenges. I just like learning to level up and just teaching myself to think creatively out of the box, and also just teaching myself to like work under pressure. So it was just more of a me thing than really was a rules thing to like just create a cosplay for myself for Masquerade. Because yeah, I could have gone and bought a Yohane cosplay, nothing wrong with that, but I just wanted to just make something because there's a certain pride you have when you make something. And then because I've been doing Masquerade for like almost 20 years on and off, I just wanted to make something. I wanted to do something on stage, have fun. Yeah. You know what? I had a lot of fun. And we had Squeegee here. They were hosting Masquerade, and they're just so adorable on stage. And I'm still very, very sad that we lost Rhodey.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, dude. Rest in peace. And I was also feeling just kind of sad, too, because we did have a prop that we left on stage that kind of had to stay on stage. And we're like, oh man, I wish we had Rhodey because he could have picked it up
and then put it down. That's what he does. It's his catchphrase.
Yep. So yeah, so you had like Squeegee here. They were just like, oh, I just love their presence on stage. They're just this ball of energy that I just adore. And also, you also part of cosplay staff is you have like a dark helmet cosplayer like in as part of cosplay staff, and that amused me a lot. And you also had like this amazing Trinity Blood cosplayer here, and I just love seeing like all the little details they had in their costume. So it was just really nice, like when you're backstage and you're seeing all the craftsmanship projects up close and personal. It's always just a treat to just kind of see, and also just share ideas like, hey, how did you do it? How did you make this? And that was pretty awesome too. As far as Masquerade performances go, we had like someone go on stage and go as you're gonna have to help me out on this because I'm not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh. You main character guy?
Well, that'd be Yugi Moto or Yami Yugi.
The one who's like the face of the series.
It's the same thing. It's a double personality. So
okay, my bad.
Either he has the more serious personality, which is when he's controlled by the Pharaoh, or he has the more like, hey guys, let's go play some cards.
So you have this person just going on stage, and they do a Madonna version of Yugi. And by Madonna version of Yugi, they have the Jean-Paul Gaultier bra, or for you people out there, it's like the Madonna cone bra, but it's like pyramids. And they did the Madonna top knot hairstyle, and they did the whole complete Vogue routine.
It looks like Madonna got a hold of the Millennium Puzzle.
And they did, because I hate to admit this, but I do, like, if it was like the 80s or 90s, like, yeah, I'm a Madonna fan. But like, yeah, in 2020, you're a Madonna fan, like, no.
Not so much.
Growing up, I was a huge Madonna fan, and I memorized all her dance moves, every single move in their rendition of Vogue which is on point. I'm like, oh my god, they memorize each and every point of this. I just loved it. I just loved every second of it.
That's the weird mashup concept. I don't even know how you come up
I
with that
never
one.
would have come up with myself. Like yeah, I'm doing Vogio.
Sure.
No, it was pretty awesome. And then like other masquerade acts on stage, like there was a really cute one. I think it was also done by the gal who was costuming as Aerie last year, because she did that skit with Aerie's father, who's the villain of like one of the seasons of My Hero Academia. And she's like, yeah, what if I had a normal life with my dad and my dad's brushing my hair? I'm like, yeah, that was kind of sad. No, sad in like an emotional, heart wrenching way, and knowing that like an 8-year-old wrote it, like, oh my god, she's better than most writers in Hollywood.
It's up there with our Prisma Ilya headcanon.
And then so this some person, she wrote this skit about like being bullied as an anime fan, and she went on stage like just kind of like wearing a Sailor Moon shirt, cat ears, and like an Ida bag, and all her shonen heroes just came up on stage and just kind of passing on the life lessons she learned from them. I'm like, oh my god, this needs to play something, because that just kind of like just pulled on my heartstrings. And when I heard that the kid wrote it, I'm like, ugh, give this person like a make this person write a novel or something, because clearly there's a lot of talent with this person. And another one I really like was the Princess Tutu act, which they did this amazing ballet routine like on stage. They ended up winning Best of Show. Best of Show ended up winning $5,000. And then also in my division, there was an amazing Phoenix Wright versus Lloyd skit that was just amazingly done. And like, yeah, kudos to them, because they also gave me kudos for my Yohane skits. Like, yeah, because we're Anime Boston veteran staff, like you were just on point with the lore of Anime Boston. So having that compliment from like one of your peers, it just really means a lot. Like, yeah, even though I didn't place, that's okay. I mean, I got a lot of compliments from the judges, like, yeah, you were so funny on stage, you did an amazing job on stage, we loved your acting, we love your facial expressions. And it was just an amazing time. And also we had an Anya who did an exhibition skit, and she did like this whole Daddy Shark routine. So instead of Daddy Shark, it's like Daddy Spy, dooty dooty doo, Mommy Spy, dooty dooty doo, Doggy Spy, dooty dooty doo. I thought it was really cute. I know people are annoyed by the shark song, but I thought it was cute. Also, one of our exhibitionist skits, acts was like a Love Live group. I forgot their name, but it was a Guilty Kiss group, and they were just amazing on stage. And like we were just like supporting one another, like, yeah, Yohane. And my only regret is I wasn't able to take a selfie with them, because that would have been amazing. Like, yeah, double Yohane action. What I'm talking about. So I just really love how everyone was just so supportive of each other backstage. It really felt like community. And this is just like, yeah, one of the reasons why I love coming to Anime Boston, because it really does feel like community. It doesn't feel like everyone is clout chasing or looking for fame. It's like, yeah, we do it for the love of it. And that's just a nice feeling to be around. And also, I was just hanging out with the Final Fantasy 14 group backstage, and we were just talking about Final Fantasy and Chocobos. And I showed them the Nightmare Fuel that was the Chocoboru commercial.
Everyone needs to see it. This has become one of my goals now for conventions.
Oh, we have photos here of Yami Yugi in the Madonna outfit. So you had the Jean-Paul Gaultier bra with the pyramids, and they also had a fan made of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Yeah, there was a lot of creativity behind this outfit, and like, yes, I want to see more of this. And then you have this, I believe this is from Monster Hunter. It's like this pumpkin dealy. We do have a Monster Hunter fan in the chat right now. Maybe they could verify, because I remember because we were like in the back, my friends and I were like, okay, it looks like they're kind of busy talking to someone right now. We would normally ask, but like after the show, I just had to ask them, like, yeah, what's your cosplay from? And I believe they said Monster Hunter, if I remember correctly. But like, yeah, like that's a huge pumpkin. Me likey. Yeah, because we were like, wait, is this from Zelda? Is this from Kingdom Hearts? And if it's from Kingdom Hearts, we're not sure what it is from Kingdom Hearts, because it kind of has that Kingdom Hearts kind of vibe.
Well, the bosses do get a little weird in Kingdom Hearts.
This is true.
Except for the bosses that are based off of legitimate, like, Disney villains and stuff.
But yeah, otherwise, good show. Amazing people, and I would do this again. And if you're curious about what my Yohane cosplay looked like, here it is again. I decided to just take some midnight photo shoots at the mall. Yeah, let's go to the mall, take some photo shoots. So what I did was I actually brought my tripod with me, and I just set my phone camera with a timer, and I was just kind of like just roaming around the mall, just taking some just taking some photos of my Yohane just so I can get some like documentation here, because I really didn't have time to schedule a lot of photo shoots at Anime Boston. Because here's the thing about Anime Boston. Anime Boston, for some reason, time moves really fast at the con.
Yes.
And I only had time to do maybe 2 private photo shoots. One was on day 0 with my friend Jessica, and I also did a photo shoot with her on Sunday morning. And this is also a chance for us to just kind of have one-on-one time, because we haven't really like we're able to like we don't really get to have a lot of chance to like just catch up and keep up with one another, and we haven't really talked to each other in a long time. So
I blame time zones.
Yeah, so we just kind of like just use this opportunity, just kind of like, yeah, let's photo shoot and catch up at the same time. So we just ended up doing photo shoots. Day 0, and on the last day of the con, I ended up cosplaying as Yor Forger, and we took some photos like outside by the Christian Science Center, and also like right by the right at Winter Garden area at the Prudential, where the Barnes & Noble used to be. The Barnes & Nobles are actually putting a new bookstore in there called the Writer's Block, or was it the Harvard Bookstore?
Harvard Bookstore with a little, I guess, a lounge or something called the Writer's Block, which is great unless you listen to that horror story about the Writer's Block.
Yeah, if you look up One Last Drink at the Writer's Block, it's a pretty amazing horror story, especially if you're a writer or creative type. Highly recommend listening to it if you like horror stories with creative types as your protagonist, especially if you're a struggling creative type like us and people in the chat. So these are just some of my Yohane photos, and of all times, taking it on midnight Easter Sunday. And here I am, Fallen Angel Yohane, having a photo shoot midnight Easter Sunday. And here I am doing TikTok videos as well. Alright, yeah, day 2, just kind of, I usually call this my Condorlust. I just kind of like just wander around the convention for a little bit, just taking photos of just people also wandering too. Like we had this Pokemon like onesie group that I thought was really cute.
I wonder if they were going to go to the slumber party.
Oh yeah, they have a slumber party event. It's like in one of the main ballrooms on the 3rd floor of the convention center, and it's just like slumber party and chill. Just show up in like anime themed jammy jams and just jam.
And I still stand on my joke of just showing up wearing like parents' clothes and just start saying like, you know,
"Is my kids here?
Amanda!
We're not naming our kid Amanda.
It's the first name that came to my mind.
We're naming our kid Sophie or Helena.
It's not how that name is pronounced.
Helena.
There you go. It's Helena. But like Hellenic. Helena.
Mm-hmm.
It's where it's derived from. But it's one of those things where then she goes, it's like, my daughter's dressed up from the My Heroes. You know the My Heroes. She's from the My Heroes. Have you seen her? It's like just totally like just troll the entire thing.
Like I think last year when we were there, they had like beanbag chairs. They were showing Escaflowne.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they had like people like just doing random like artwork or like just coloring pages.
Oh yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. I will show up there. I don't care. Just someone pretend to be my spouse. Let's do this. Let's just go look for our daughter.
Yeah, I'll have Evan pretend to be our spouse.
She's dressed up from the My Heroes. You know that one, the one with it's like Superman but anime. Oh, it'd be so much fun.
You'd be like anime boomer.
Yes.
Or you would be a Wea boomer.
No, I would literally be dad who knows nothing about anime, who's just here because my daughter really likes this stuff. But it's time to go.
It's the anime with the girl with the yabos.
No, I know that she was from the My Heroes, or she's from the demon killers. You've seen that one? She's wearing like a butterfly thing. No? Okay, thank you. Man, this guy's whoever's dad that is, I'd be so embarrassed. It's just no one. Daughter isn't there. I don't have a daughter.
All right, well, you're having your dry coughing fit because the winds here in California are picking up. Let's talk about Annie Marketplace. Annie Marketplace, this is Comiket of the West. Well, we aspire to be Comiket of the West. So, Yeah, Anime Marketplace. This is an event that is hosted by anime convention veterans where artists can sell artist alley stuff. So think of it as one large artist alley. And we also have a masquerade. We also have like just a couple of like just things going on where you can socialize with friends at a small fee. Anime Marketplace, not only it's a great place for artists to sell stuff, but it's also a great place to also sell stuff if you're trying to get rid of anime stuff. We've actually did swap meet here during our first Anime Marketplace. Anime Marketplace really aims to build community within the Southern California cosplay world. Anime Marketplace also runs a couple of other events outside of having Comic Head of the West. They also run Toho Fest, which we will be covering in a few weeks, and they will also be hosting SoCal Idol Fest in Torrance. And you know what's funny? Going to Anime Boston, going to the convention row, and seeing like advertising for SoCal Idol Fest in Torrance, California, like hey, like we've made it to Boston.
Yeah.
It's really dry out here, people. It's really dry.
God, doesn't matter how much I drink either; it just doesn't ease my throat. I can talk again though.
All right, day 3.
All right, it's day 3. It's a day when I'm so tired I don't know what I'm doing.
Happy Easter! You will see like people at Anime Boston just kind of rocking some Easter bunny ears in addition to their cosplay, and they'll also be like just carrying Easter baskets around, like handing out Easter treats. You know, like sometimes they'll like just give out the plastic egg with like the
Little
chocolate inside. What I missed is when the Prudential Center had to go dive a chocolate place, and they would like have like chocolate there, like for Easter. And I would like my tradition would be like just cosplaying it as Usagi because yeah, bunny reasons, and just going to go dive and just getting like their Easter like it was like their Easter Frappuccino equivalent, and I would just meet up with a friend for a photo shoot, and just show up like as Usagi with a Frappuccino. But yeah, day 3. Day 3 is Easter Sunday. It was a lot of a lighter crowd too, because a lot of people were like just meeting up with family for Easter Sunday, but not us. But we were being a spy family on Easter Sunday. So you know, we haven't really talked about the Dealer's Hall or Artist Alley. So the Dealer's Hall I felt was fairly smaller compared to like previous years, but I never felt it wasn't really that crowded, and I didn't feel too overwhelmed.
It didn't feel smaller to me.
Mm-hmm. What were some
it
of your
was
other?
2 big rooms that were connected by a little tunnel. So the dealer hall felt pretty large.
Or maybe I just kind of felt there wasn't really much in Dealer's Hall that I really wanted to take home.
That I'll agree with. Yes.
Because like yeah, like if we were like living in New England, I probably would have just gone to town with Comicopia, because I like how they arrange like all their mangas, and this is just like my favorite place to just like browse and learn about manga, because
They almost have sarcastic like
They have-
rippings.
like these people here, they were just like, yeah, getcha yaoi, getcha boys love, and they were just talking like the sleaziest like New York type accents, like yeah, getcha boys love,
Yeah, I like
getcha yaoi.
them taking the kind of the piss out of that.
Yeah, and I just really appreciate that. It's like I gotta get a photo of you guys, because like yeah, that just amused me. Like, and then like there was a person right next to them, like a vendor next to them, like, wait, no one likes cats? I'm like, cats.
That's right, all the cat themed mangas.
And I'm like, I'm gonna be here for a while, Jay. Cat themed mangas. And there's a manga called Gamer Cat. I'm like, okay, I'm curious about this now. And they were also describing to me like just some of the other like cat themed mangas they have there. Like, of course, like they had Cheese Sweet Home, but I like how they categorize like, yeah, if you like this, you might like this. And I was really like, yeah, again, had we like lived in New England, I probably would have gone to town with Comicopia with their books. But all I really could do, because of the weight limit of taking stuff home to California,
And books weigh a lot.
yeah, I just had to like just write down, okay, I'll take this title, that title. I was very close to buying the Tomie
that looked really cool.
Yeah, because I really
Well-
want to get more into that guy's work, Junji Ito. I want to get
There's
more
a
into
whole
his work.
Junji Ito like pile of stuffs, and I actually wouldn't mind to have all of it.
Yeah, I wanted to like I wanted to take that Tomie one, and then because when I first noticed that section, like, oh hey, this is the one with like mechanical stinky fish,
Yeah.
and like, oh hey, there's what was it, like Naruto, The one with the spirals.
Uzumaki.
Yeah.
Literally what it means.
Yeah, the one with the spirals.
You called the book Mystic Spiral.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I haven't seen the anime. I've heard like things about the anime. I've heard like I just read manga.
The visuals would be really hard to translate. So they'd have to do some really good work with that, or otherwise it's going to be kind of blah.
But yeah, there's a lot. He has a lot of work that I'm just really curious about because there were things I liked about like his anthology series and things I didn't like. I mean, I still have Ice Cream Truck, the song, stuck in my head. Ice cream bus, ice cream bus.
Come on board the
ice cream bus and lose your head. But yeah, one of my favorite things about Anime Boston is they just have a lot of physical media, and I would have.
That was a big thing for me because there's certain physical media of classic Giant Robot series I want to add into my collection.
Giant Robo was $65. I just couldn't afford it at the time, and we were also, I forgot to mention, we were also at a Giant Robo panel. Just kind of keep this brief, and I love how the guy was like, "Wait,
I specifically
you guys
skipped that one."
You were with me at that panel.
I was. I specifically skipped it.
Yeah, so like the guy who was running the panel found out that like you and I ran a mega panel. Like, hey, how come you guys aren't up here? Like, we'd like to know why too.
Yes, that's true.
And I was just anytime I just watch footage from Giant Robo, I just start like fan casting all my friends, as like their character counterparts in Giant Robo. Like, hey, Rams, please cosplay as Tetsugu. You would make an awesome Tetsugu. And Stan or Jared can be your Taiso or whatever his name is. Okay, yeah, my brain's drawing a blank right now. Oh yeah, like right here you got Discotech. I love looking at Discotech's media collection here. That's one of the things that we don't get a lot here on the West Coast is like physical media. And like I said, like if we lived in New England, I think we would like gone to town more with a lot more physical media.
Yeah.
Out there because like Sunday discounts are a thing. Like, yeah, let's get a reverse stock. And like I just like just seeing like I just really appreciate just seeing a lot of physical media booths at Anime Boston.
Especially when the stuff I'm into is not popular stuff, so it's going to be there on day 3. Photoms will be there on day 3. Getter will be there on day 3. Mausinger will be there on day 3.
Also, day 3, I decided to just kind of just pop into like a panel because I think at the panel we wanted to go in the morning was like booked. Like I forgot what it was, but
the panel rooms were really small, or well, they're small based on the amount of people we have. And so stuff we wanted to go to half the time would be like, and the room's full. I'm like, all right, cool, moving on. That's the reason I saw the Rosa Versailles panels, because the panel I wanted to go to was already filled. So I just went into that and got to hear about a bunch of weird Rosa Versailles merch.
Especially Rosa Versailles Dolphies, which my friend has one of them. Yeah, like Rosa Versailles, I think like the funkiest Rosa Versailles thing I own, other than that one time I bought Marie Antoinette's like facial mask. Yeah, that's his thing. Is like this Lady Oscar statue. I don't know where that is. I hope my ex didn't run away with my Lady Oscar statue because I would be pissed. But yeah, Rosa Versailles is just like one of my favorite animes. Like, back in my 20s, it's still like one of my favorite animes, as cheesy as it is right now. But it is a classic, and I love my sword lesbians. So like, I wandered into the Foamsmith panel because like, okay, like I'm just starting to like just kind of work with like different materials again, and like we just tuned into the tail end, so I got their contact information, and apparently this was like one of the judges, the craftsmanship judges at Masquerade. So like, yeah, like just kind of like just hearing from like higher tier cosplayers, just getting some mentorship and just kind of getting some ideas on just kind of like just how to work with foam was just really interesting. And like, yeah, I'm slowly leveling up because I keep forgetting that foam is like, even like just things like craft foam is like are like legit resources that you can use to like really make something amazing. So like sometimes I just keep forgetting about that because sometimes like, yeah, we don't have access to tungsten mines, we can't really mine for armor, we don't really have something to smeld like things together. So like, yeah, I really thought this was very informative. So yeah, moving on to a couple other things here. Cosplay chess.
Oh, this is great.
All right, Jay, talk about cosplay chess.
So the one thing they do out there really well for cosplay chess is that there's kind of a show within the show. So we had our main host, who was Kotaro from Zombieland Saga, who was constantly yelling at people and just kind of making facial expressions at choices. And then meanwhile, you also had our players, which ended up being Larry from Pokemon Scarlet, and then, of course, Seto Kaiba, who did the most Seto Kaiba thing you can do. The king on his side was played by Seto Kaiba. because that's the most Seto Kaiba thing you can do. He's so rich, he can be in two places at once. And one of the things they do that's really great with this is that the performances, the battles are choreographed more or less. So you can get some fun stuff. Plus, half the characters call out like assists and whatever. So you'll have the Final Fantasy person have some of the other just generic class characters show up and provide them with a turn-based battle. Or having other characters from the show up to like double team an enemy or what have you. I think we had Diluc and what's his name, his brother, like Kaya, battle a dude. And so you had some fun stuff like that. Some of the things you feel sad about, and then they had the random spots on the board that just like insta-killed people or whatever. So unfortunately, our poor Falafi got like captured by a Pokemon trainer. So there's some really fun, crazy stuff. It keeps you guessing, and a lot of like just insult tossing betwixt the various players and what have you. And just the way the board is done, the way the screen is done, if the verses, so you see the character portraits in the versus thing like a fighting game. So well done. It's kind of one of those things where like I would want to replicate that at like a convention, but I feel like it would never even come close to what they have, and that's unfortunate.
This is a main stage event.
Yes.
And there's so much production that goes into this. So you see in this photo here, when you have the matchup between Power and Miku, you actually see a photo of like the animated counterparts for Power and Miku just going up against each other.
Yeah, like a fighting game versus screen.
And you also have the chessboard, a visual representation of the chessboard on there with all the characters on there. So there's a lot of pre-planning to this, and there's also rehearsal because a lot of it is stage combat fighting between the two characters. Or if you want to do like a friendship move or like just something that is non-combat related, that also has to be figured out in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an entertaining show. It's something that I enjoy watching every Sunday. It's something like if we were in New England, I would participate in, but probably not at Anime Boston because there's so much that like I feel like lip sync battles is something I'm gonna do like anytime I'm at Anime Boston, and also with especially with Masquerade. But I feel like if they had like a cosplay chess like at another anime convention, which they do, PortCon Maine, I would love to do like cosplay chess because it just sounds like it's a lot of fun.
And we've talked about before about different combinations we could do with assists and things like that, which is always fun.
Yeah, just kind of like just winding down Sunday, and like you see like some Chainsaw Man people here, and also you and I, we also just kind of did some self shooting as Yor and Lloyd, which was also fun too. I don't have any photos of Artist Alley because they had like a strict no photography rule. Artist Alley was on the first floor.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Artist Alley was on the first floor. They had like a lot of booths selling pride pins, which I really do appreciate because we don't get a lot of artists out here selling like a lot of pride pins, and I always like to pick up pride pins for friends. And I also appreciate like just seeing Genshin pins because I always get like my annual fix. And anytime I go to a convention, because I'm currently building a Ningguang and Beidou Ida bag, I just get like just a matching pair of a Beidou and a Ningguang. And this year I got one where it's like a caricature version of Beidou and Ningguang, and on Beidou's pin it says drunk and lively, and on Ningguang's it's rich and powerful. And I also, and because it was like, yeah, buy 5, get insert a dollar amount here, I picked one up for you, Jay, of Chongyun.
Huh.
And it's just him with a popsicle with the word nom.
Nice.
He's just nomming a popsicle. It's like, nom. And so, yeah, Artist Alley, like a lot of people were saying like, yeah, there's not a lot at Artist Alley, but what I do appreciate about this Artist Alley, like the aisles are really wide enough where you can like just really browse around. Artist Alley is also open till like 10 o'clock in the evening, so you can also like, what I did with Artist Alley is I just waited for the crowd to die down, and I just went in at like 8 or 9 o'clock just so I can like just get a better, closer look at stuff. Sadly, like I wanted to get like a bow at a Dorka Bows because I got my white mage ribbon from them, but they sold out a lot like on the first hour of day one. It's like, okay, like I love you guys, but I don't have what I want. But art, sadly, I guess it just really depends what you're looking for. I mean, I found a booth that had like your themed perfume, so I ended up getting your themed perfume. Just kind of like as a roller type of thing. It's like, yeah, I've always need like something to make me smell nice, or something nice to smell when I'm at an anime
I figured
convention.
yours smell would be like blood and bad cooking. Like,
It's not gonna smell like roses because she's the thorn princess.
I guess, but like, she probably would
Like
reek of
roses and smoke.
like blood and like burnt meat. Seems like what you should smell like.
Are you trying to imply something about me?
She murders people and then she's a bad cook. That's like the two things she's known for. And she has a day job that she doesn't particularly like.
All right, so yeah, let's just move forward day 3. So like we have got closing ceremonies here. So one of the highlights of closing ceremonies was the new voice actor for Ash, Samantha, ended up giving away like a signed Pikachu Funko.
It's weird thinking new when Samantha's voiced the character longer than the original voice.
Yeah, so I'm like, I just had to differentiate between Veronica Taylor and then Samantha. And they were very sweet because they were just kind of like, they didn't just give the Pikachu Funko Pop to like the first row. They were actually like scoping out in the audience. They went all around the audience to like look for like a Poke Mega fan. And they actually found like an armored Pikachu like towards like the back row of the front area, and ended up giving out the Funko Pop to the armored Pikachu.
Hmm.
And the reason why I know this is because, like, yeah, I love you guys, but you're kind of blocking my shots at the stage. But it was just kind of cool. They were, like, just taking selfies, and then, like, official Anime Boston staff wanted photos. Her agent wanted photos. So, like, yeah, it was kind of cool just, like, seeing, like, Samantha, like, just interact with the fans like that, and everyone was just like, yeah, pick me, give me the Pikachu. So, yeah, that was kind of cool, just kind of seeing that closing ceremonies. Oh yeah, like is anything else we want to bring up with closing ceremonies? Because I know there's like the AMVs.
Yeah.
So just what were your favorite AMVs?
Uh, um, the AMV theaters thing that I thought was like supposed to be the settle down kids were about to start, but was actually an entry. I really liked that one. It was a parody of the AMC theaters thing. Very well done, original audio. I do appreciate that. Uh, it's
I
the only
really
one
like the
remember.
best day ever, the one where they're all at Amagi Brilliant Park, and they integrate like a lot of like anime characters, like checking out Amagi Brilliant Park, and it was done to this song from Trolls. I had no idea it was from Trolls until I looked it up. Like when I got home, I was like, oh, it's Best Day Ever from the Trolls movie, which I have not seen, but it was a really catchy song. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And like, okay, now I need to watch Amagi Brilliant Park because I forget that the Fumofu guy is in it.
Yeah, it's a
It's written by
spinoff.
the same guy.
It's a spinoff. It's just about the theme park that the mascot's from. So, that's fun. Uh, yeah, I'm actually having a lot of difficulty trying to remember them, which is already kind of damning, them that way. I mean, there was like a Demon Slayer one, but it was like, fine. I've
It
seen
was done to Evolution by Ayumi Hamasaki.
just
And I'm like,
generic.
yeah, I remember that song by Ayumi Hamasaki when that came out in like, what, 2000, 2001. It's like, yeah, I'm in high school all over again. But
I
yeah,
remember the Deaf Girl one. That one was fine.
Komi Can't Communicate. I like that one. That song was pretty cute. I still need to watch an anime. I've heard good things about that anime.
It's not like my style of video, but it was memorable because I remembered it.
It was cute.
So,
And also, yeah, closing ceremonies, I just kind of felt like it's kind of lackluster.
yes.
Because like we didn't really have like a lot of guests like say farewell. I was hoping to see Dante Bosco like say farewell to the audience. But
Yeah, there really wasn't much in that category. Like Greg Ayres,
we had a few
Stephanie.
come up, but yeah, but not a
music
lot.
people. Local music people.
Yeah, I do appreciate local talent being hired. I mean, that's also pretty cool too. However, like usually like closing ceremonies, you're kind of hyped to learn about the new theme,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, we're not doing themes, Because like, okay, my tradition's always like, okay, we're gonna place our bets on what the what the theme's gonna be next year, and my bet was like, okay, maybe an isekai theme, maybe a D&D adventure party, kind of theme, and it just kind of ended with like just the Anime Boston logo and the dates for next year. It's like, oh, I guess we're actually retiring themes now. I mean, a couple months ago, back in November, they said they were gonna scale back.
We can spend a crap ton of money as the prize rewards, but we can't like put our own con together.
To put this in context, Masquerade, Best in Show craftsmanship 5,000, best of show performance 5,000. So that's like 10,000 already in total.
That could have gone to improving the con.
And also, yeah, I kind of get like just being much more sustainable, because when I look at the registration booths as I was passing by them on the way back to get our luggages, as I was just seeing those registration booths being torn down, they actually had the artwork saying Anime Boston 2023 Find Your Spotlight with all the idol theming to it. And I don't really think like your registration booth needs to have like the theming. When I think of theming and like just decorations, I think like just more of just making the stairwell, like the convention center, have that kind of decoration.
Yes. But I think that was traditional, because I think if we went to the previous years, you'd have found the same thing on those registration booths as well.
Yeah, and I also kind of felt like the closing credits lackluster, because in previous years you had like Fly Me to the Moon over the closing credits, and we just kind of like had like this like random
The same song they used last year.
And it just kind of felt, it doesn't really... Because usually when you watch the closing credits, you kind of like this, oh, it's over kind of feeling. You just kind of like, oh. It's like, okay, it's like John T. music, okay?
Yeah. I bet they'll use it in 2024.
Yeah. All right, so before we just kind of go into our final thoughts, Convention Tea is brought to you by YMAC Sweater. If you use our code YMAC-Dame Asmal, you can get 40% off your total purchase at www.ymacsweater.com. I love YMAC sweaters because they're very cozy. I like their vintage style cardigans. Also, these are nice for professional wear, for office wear, or if you just want to stay cozy. So if you just want to pick up some sweaters for yourself, for friends, or just gifts, just go to ymacsweater.com. Use our code YMAC-Dame Asmal for 40% off your total purchase. So let me just just go in the chat here. Wait, Anime Boston really had closing credits? Yeah, every year they always have closing credits at closing ceremonies. And a random person be like, was there a scene after the credits like a Marvel movie?
Nope.
Just the AMV contest. The AMV contest is the after post credits. The award winners of the AMV contest were the award winners. Okay, so let's just kind of go over our final thoughts. So again, I kind of talked about just kind of how plain looking like the rotunda opening area looked like without decorations. And I kind of feel like you can have some evergreen decorations around this area, because during your first year, Jay, when it was like Magical Academy, you kind of had like, you went in this area and you had like different like Magical Academy, like, yeah, we're in the Anime Boston Magical Academy. But I feel like you can have some evergreen decorations that you can use in this area, because it just felt like really weird just looking all like plain stuff.
Just pillars.
So yeah, it just kind of just feels just so empty. And I also just really missed, again, just having a variety of photo zones, because I do appreciate having the Japanese tea room there, Forest Moon of Endor, and I also really did appreciate like just them having signs of like, yeah, please be courteous, and don't take up too much time using these set pieces. Like, thank you, because at Anime Expo sometimes people can be very territorial about those set pieces. Those set pieces are amazing, but please be cognizant and be kind to others. Sharing is caring. All right, other final thoughts. I love this community. I love traveling to Boston. Boston is always going to be our home, and it wouldn't be the same had it not been just being with our friends and being with the people who hold us the most. Shout out to my roommates, Michelle and Pocket Princess Darcy. She is the Pocky Princess. And you got Hugo over here, one of my favorite performers at Lip Sync Battle. He only made it to the second round. They're always amazing anytime I see them over at Lip Sync Battle. And he's just a joy to just watch on stage. And he just did so amazing as Kaori. I wish he had advanced, but there's always next year, and there's always TikTok for that too. And hey, there's you and me as Yoren Lloyd Forger.
Mhm.
And also, when it comes to like self shooting, when you're shooting at the Prudential like at midnight, like how I was doing it, you kind of had to be like a little kind of subtle about it. So I was just kind of like just being subtle about like how I was taking photos. And sometimes like just getting photos at night at the Heinz Convention Center can be really tricky. So there's like some nice places for like photo shoots, like this curtain area here on the third floor. And there was also that section I found right by the escalators on the rotunda side that we use for Yoren Lloyd, which I thought was appropriate. Like, hey, it looks very fancy, very spy-esque for that too. So I really enjoy this con. I like the people here. As you mentioned before, Jay, I just feel like they really need to invest more in larger panel rooms because a lot of the panel rooms, like, I'm very happy people are going to panels. They're going to academic panels, and I love that. And I just kind of felt like they needed larger panel rooms, or they just needed to just reintegrate and really rethink about using some of the larger rooms, because I kind of feel like, yeah, move the cosplay meetups to like the ballrooms back at the Hilton again, and just use those spaces for like the larger panels, because a lot of people are being turned away, or there's like a huge wait line. And I also know we joked about this in our Masquerade skit, but this is probably not under Anime Boston's control, but the broken escalators.
Yeah.
On the third floor.
Every
the
year.
Cursed escalators.
Every year.
Cursed escalators. Like, I didn't mind, like, using the stairwell or the elevator, but, like, the bottlenecking in that area, oof. Big oof. Alright, Jay, you got any final thoughts on Anime Boston?
I hold Anime Boston as one of my favorite conventions, because even though I usually have a little bit of drama or something on Saturday, it still usually turns out to be one of the more enjoyable cons. I never sit there going like, oh god, do I have to go this year? I'm never in that mindset. I'm usually, if I am, it's because I don't want to do the flight, but I want to go to the con, so I'll deal with the flight. But here's my thing. When you're dropping $10,000 on your Masquerade winners, but you're sitting there at opening ceremonies asking if anyone else wants to join, staff, or volunteer, we need you.
Yeah, they were recruiting for staff at opening ceremonies. And I'm like, what?
When you can't afford to do theming, but you can afford $10,000 for Masquerade, you can understand how maybe I find that a little odd. And maybe I find that maybe you're not putting your efforts where they're supposed to be focused on trying to make this a fun event for everyone and not just a slot machine for the best dressed or the most practiced dancers.
I mean, I would have been fine if, like, theoretically, let's just say, like, Best in Show place was, like, even, like, $100, or, like, even like 1,000, whatever. I still would have entered Masquerade regardless.
Well, that's not the money wasn't the...
Yeah, I didn't go in for money.
Yes, you entering for money or anyone else entering for money isn't the point. The point is the prize money shouldn't be that high. That money should have gone towards other things like the photo zones, like trying to recruit more people, any number of other things like that. And that's kind of where my upsetness comes in. I can't complain about the panels. There's great panels. Those rooms need to be larger, but the Heinz just doesn't have that many large rooms, unfortunately. And they're going to have to figure out a way to work that space together, because when you have as many people going to the con as there are, and only about 40 people can fit inside a panel room, well, that becomes a problem. Even if you have 3 or 4 panels happening at the same time, that's only like 200-300 people you can fit in those rooms, and the rest of that 1,000-some just got to wander around. The thousands need to wander around. So they're going to have to figure that out logistically at some point. Including putting the cosplay gatherings somewhere else, because having them occur in the little hallway zones is not a great way to do it, especially when that can overflow zones really fast.
I liked the current area, but like when the Fate gathering was happening there, I wanted to take photos of the Fate cosplayers, but I couldn't. Because like, there's a lot of overcrowding here, and I'm tiny 5'1" Asian person, and I can't exactly step on the planter to like get a good shot of everyone. Like, I just kind of feel like your cosplay meetups, they need to be in like hotel ballroom type places, because like, yeah, a lot of when you put those gatherings in those zones, it creates a lot of bottleneck and a lot of chaos. So I would So Anime Boston is at a point where, in my opinion, they should like move all cosplay photo shoots, cosplay meetups to like the hotel rooms or like the Sheridan like ballroom type places. Okay. Yeah, any other final thoughts?
That's kind of about it. It's just Anime Boston is hurt most by the fact that I've gone to previous years. Normally I will judge a con saying like, well, yeah, this con was kind of garbage because at Anime Boston or at Otakon or one of the other cons I hold in high esteem, they did this. And here I'm like, well, you're competing with yourself and you're not showing the effort you used to show. Now, whether this is because there's been changes in the staff, whether this is all just the path to recovery after COVID, I don't know, but we really need to kind of think about that and get things back on track the way they're supposed to be.
And the other thing I'll say about Anime Boston is this is coming from a West Coast, Southern California perspective. And it's really hard for me to explain this to like East Coast people and West Coast people because I kind of feel that the model of anime conventions as we know it, at least on the West Coast, is dying.
Yes.
And by that, it's like having like an almost a convention that kind of runs between like 8 o'clock in the morning to about like midnight or 24 hours, if you will. And they have events going on between those times. They have fan panels from, just kind of like this casual fan conversation to more like academic type of panels. And it's just really hard to explain. Like, you got a karaoke room, you got a decent dealer's hall, you got your artist alley. In California, the model of like fandom get-togethers is changing. There, because of like the pandemic, we've been seeing a lot of outdoor like artist market type of places. Now, I'm someone who also helps organize one of these types of events, but it's more like on the fans for fan side of it. And there's a lot of these like artist alley, outdoor market, anime night market esque type events that have been really sketchy too. I won't go into detail, but there's been like a lot of tea online and a lot of sketchiness behind these events.
Yeah, it's almost like its own video.
Yeah. And the closest convention in Southern California that is an anime convention that is run like my preferred convention is Anime Los Angeles, believe it or not.
Yeah, I would have guessed we'd say that.
Yeah, it's and PMX is a shadow of its former self. Don't get me wrong, I appreciated that PMX had us as guests of honor at their event, but like even a notion of the hotel con is dead in Southern California. I go to Anime Boston and this is just like I'm going to appreciate every single moment of this convention. I'm going to appreciate that there is a masquerade that I can participate in a skit and I can create my own skit because even cosplay contest, the notion of a cosplay contest, it's been devalued so much out here on the West Coast. A lot of the cosplay contests are basically stand in line. Judges who may or may not have experience will take a look at your costumes and you'll just walk on to whatever music we have on stage. Skits are like almost a thing of the past.
Yeah,
And it
instead of
makes
like
me
an
sad.
expo or something.
And even Expo's cosplay contest has also dilapidated as well.
Oh yeah.
Expo only had 18 entries last year. Whereas a convention like Anime Los Angeles, it gets people from the Bay Area, Nevada, Arizona, and other parts of the country to come in and fly in to compete because it is like one of the last conventions to run like that. I know I'm going on a soapbox right now, but I just wanted to provide context to why I enjoy every single moment of Anime Boston. Even when I'm just feeling dry at the con because, like, okay, yeah, they didn't have the AC on. Like, ugh. Like, I just wanted to enjoy every single moment of it because this is why I love anime conventions. I just love the karaoke. I love the participating cosplay games. I love the community. And this is And this is where it's at. And honestly, if I have to fly across the country to just hang out with my friends, and also just to just kind of like just have a piece of what I enjoy, and to hold on to that, Anime Boston, yeah. And this is just why I just keep going back. And like I said, Anime Boston is our home con, and I've been attending since 2013, with the exception of 2017. Jay has been attending since 2014. And you know what? Every convention's going to have its ups and downs. There's going to be like the low years, there's going to be the high years. And you said this is like one of the better conventions that you've attended.
Well, in general, Anime Boston is always held in high esteem. This year, we'll see how well this compares to everything else. But even for my complaints, you still had, the Gunpla room with some really cool people there, not some weird elitists who'll make fun of lesser, beginners and stuff like that. A great panel lineup. But, you're also lacking in guests and things like that. But, yeah, I didn't end the con feeling miserable or, feeling like, oh, God, can we not do this next year? I ended the con going, well, I could have skipped half or all of closing ceremonies, but beyond that, I'm feeling pretty good. Closing ceremonies were lackluster, as we said earlier.
Yeah, and closing ceremonies, I used to look forward to closing ceremonies because you kind of like feel that collective, like, oh, it's over.
We all want one more day.
Yeah, and I got that feeling from Otakon the last time we went to their when we went to their closing ceremonies, like, aw.
Yes.
Because like a lot of people go to closing ceremonies because they just want to have that collective, like, yeah, we wish it lasts longer, but that feeling, just eliminating the themes, just kind of eliminating just kind of like that feeling you have of togetherness. Because closing ceremonies just used to be like an emotional thing for us, but now we're like, okay, let's just meet up with Anna and let's just go to Chinatown after cosplay chess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a couple of our just last images here. I really enjoyed Masquerade, and Jay, thank you for writing an amazing skit. Like, hopefully someone has that recorded, and hopefully it's where Yohane talks about the cursed things about Anime Boston, and that was a fun skit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. And this is just us leaving the convention on Sunday, just after closing ceremonies. And, like, just realizing we have a 6-hour flight to catch. It's like, we don't want to leave. All right, Jay, take us away with our last of our adverts.
I'm not wearing my glasses.
Well, tell us what's next on Discovery Plus.
Oh, this is the image from the Masquerade skit.
Yeah, take us away with our last.
All right.
Adverts.
Coming up next on Discovery Plus, the 90-day waifu.
Oh, so we got some other stuff on Discovery Plus.
What's this? Oh, God. And after that is Here Comes Anya.
All right, this has been another edition of Convention Tea. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got a pretty good audience here. We'll stick around and chat with y'all. But remember, the convention is what you make of it. So make it a good one. And remember, we'll see you at